So you get to the IP, then you head into the point where you're going to bomb. So once you get to the IP, you're locked in, so to speak. You don't deviate anything. You just go, no matter what happens, you go on a certain line. And then it's up to the bombardier to drop the bombs. He opens it up. Now, another little interesting thing of what one of my side jobs would be, I told you earlier about the bomb bay doors open this way. They open this way. And of course the bombs are in there. We were at the IP point, and the bomb bay doors were open. Well, the bombs wouldn't drop out. We had 240 fragmentary bombs, they call them, which means that it's something like the flak of where when they drop and explode, they just blow all over everywhere. It just annihilates any and everything. And there were 240 of them in the bomb bay. And if they didn't drop out, I was supposed to go back there and kick them out. I was supposed to go back there and kick the bombs, kick them out, so that in case they got hung up somewhere, and I'm sure that somebody else was going to help me too, because I didn't have time to kick out 240. Of course, they were clustered. You know, they were clustered. But you would kick a mechanism and release them out of the bomb, because you remember now that the bomb bay doors are open, and down there is the ground. And here's your catwalk, so to speak, that you have. That catwalk is probably, I don't know, 2 feet wide, something like that wide, where you can walk between the portions of the aircraft. But so we got there, and then when we got to that point, we got hit by flak. It hit the engines. There are 4 engines on a B-24. So one of the engines got hit, and then the other engine, another engine got hit, and then another engine was malfunctioning. So we had 1.5 engines out of a 4-engine aircraft. Well, you can't fly too well with 1.5 engines with a 4-engine. Now we were at 24,500 feet. That was the top of the ceiling of our B-24.
I went with 11th Airborne Division. I became a first sergeant in the 188th Airborne Infantry Regiment, and our battalion, we were used on the atomic drops at Frenchman's Flats and at Yucca Flats there in Nevada. In fact, we were the first organized troops to be used on what was called Buster Django, which was the name of the operation that included us being in the area where they're going to drop the bomb. The funny thing about that particular thing, the day we flew in there, we flew into Nellis Air Force Base on these planes, and we put up the tents, and they took us down to one of the flats, and we started digging trenches and set up some fortifications. We come back, the wind blew all the tents down. And when all of us crawled in underneath the fallen tents and went to sleep, we were so exhausted, you know. Anyway, we were sent down on these exercises. I said Buster Django operation, which was an operation in which the atomic bomb was being used to drop in the area of troops. And I found out a little later there were 18 bomb jumps on those operations, which I think most people didn't know. And while we're talking about the atomic bomb that was dropped in Nagasaki, I don't think it was public information, but you know, we had American prisoners interned on Hiroshima when the bomb was dropped. Now, what the outcome was, because I said there's very little information, I've got it down here, very little information about this, but I'm sure they didn't come out too well.
At this stage of my life, which is obviously in the latter years, the church means just about everything to me. A year ago this past September, I lost my wife. My very first thought, of course, when this occurred was of my family. I wanted my children with me. I wanted to hold them, I wanted to pray with them. The very next thought I had was my church. I thought, I need somebody from the church to be here with me, to help me, to support me, to tell me that things are going to be okay.
When I was growing up, Judaism was an integral part of my life, of our family's life. We went to synagogue most weeks. I went to Jewish day school my entire life, I guess. We celebrated all the Jewish holidays, and then Bobby and I and our children continue, and extended family celebrate all the Jewish holidays together.
Well, it's played a big part in my life. I was on the board for several years. I was secretary of the temple. I was president of the sisterhood. So, of course, that involves you in many, many temple activities, and I have only the best memories of all of it. And before we moved, when the temple was on Holman and a branch, every year, for several years, we put on a home talent show to raise money. And I met a vast number of people I never would have run into if I hadn't done that. And it was a very rewarding time. And I think it was something that brought people from the temple together, various people from various groups, friends that never would have known each other before. And it integrated a lot of people, and it was good in that respect.
And in the Bahamas, I served as my husband's wife for ambassador, and I did a fundraiser for the National Park System for them, and I adopted a black old folks home that I made Easter bonnets for and cooked for.
And bought a bus for.
And raised the money to buy a bus to take them to church and the beach and wherever they needed to go, the doctor. I was honorary president of the Americans Women's Club, which did charitable projects as well. One thing that I think that was really important for me when we were in the Bahamas and served those 3 years was that the community knew we were Jewish. We celebrated the holidays, we invited government people, we invited friends, all of which were non-Jewish, and they loved participating in Passover and different holidays.
Well, there was an overflow of Saturday day weddings, and everyone was late, so they decided you would have to go, it would better to go first for your civil and then have the church wedding on Saturday. So what we did on Monday, June 28, 1965.
We got married. We got married in front of not the judge, but it was actually a councilman in a beautiful setting, an old castle. And so we were officially married. The church wedding doesn't count in Belgium. This is a throwback to the French Revolution. Anyway, so we had a little bite to eat with the family and all the immediate family, and we
all we had was two the témoins.
Well, 2 witnesses, yeah, that's right. And so we each went home with our parents, and we were officially married.
Yes, we were married, but not really. And, you know,
you look back in hindsight,
this day and age would be a different story. But anyway, so we got married on Saturday in a very nice church ceremony, and we had a nice three type of things that day. We had a reception that was, in those days, that's what you did. You had the reception for friends, acquaintances like John's colleagues, and then we had a really nice dinner for the immediate family, and our family wasn't that big, so it wasn't that big. And then by 6 o'clock there was a reception for cousins and whoever, and dancing, and that's how you did it in those days. And funny too that by the time all these people came to the receptions, the bride and groom were gone.
We left.
They had a ball. Apparently, even the priest, the vicar came and he danced with everyone. Apparently, we don't know.